Hey everyone, this is Josh from Predatory Plants here, and I'm going to do a quick tutorial today on how to pot up your Nepenthes. These are two Nepenthes seedlings that I have. They are in-house crosses that we've made, and it's definitely time to repot both of them. The first one here is a Nepenthes Dream of Triumph. It's Nepenthes densiflora by Spectabilis Giant crossed with Nepenthes talangensis. It's a beautiful little plant with a candy stripe peristome and a very dark pitcher body, little squat shape. You can see the soil here is very mossy, kind of slimy, covered with algae. This soil is about 2 years old, and it's the plant is also pretty big for this pot. The next one here is a Nepenthes Victory. It's a Nepenthes ventricosa black crossed with a ventricosa red, which makes it a horticultural ventricosa. So this is pure ventricosa, but this is a specific cross. Same deal here, definitely underpotted, definitely ready for repot. This pot has been drying out very quickly, which was the main reason that you need to be repotting. If the plant can transpire enough water, which means it's breathing water out of its leaves quickly enough to really dry out the pot in between waterings, that's when it's time to really pot up. This is a slightly smaller pot, so we're going to put this into a 3-inch rose pot. This is a big pot. It's ready to go into a 5-inch round nursery pot. The next step up from here is a 1-gallon pot. This plant's still a little bit small for that. The first thing you're going to do is pull the plant out of the pot. I use the surgical forceps like these. These are 8-inch forceps. And I go along the side of the pot, and I just pull the entire moss ball out of the pot. You can see with this particular plant that it's not really root bound. You can't see any roots around the edge of the pot here. So it's really, it's just a matter of getting old soil away from the plant before it decays too much. And then I soak it in this 5-gallon tub of just pure water here. And that allows the moss to kind of break up a bit easier so that when I pull the soil away, it does less damage. And I'll do the same thing with this Nepenthes ventricosa here. Slip in, pull it out. And this one you can see is tremendously root bound. There's roots all along the outside here. And that's showing why the plant is drying out so quickly. These roots are doing a very good job of sucking all of this water out, sending it up the stem to these leaves that then breathe it all out. So this is a great time to be repotting this plant. And you can see on the bottom here, it's reached the bottom pot and it's kind of growing in circles here. That's very indicative of a time to grow this out. So we're going to throw this in, and you'll see now that this has been soaking for a couple seconds, it's very easy to just gently pull all of this moss away from the root ball, and it separates quite easily. And you're going to want to be fairly gentle, but the moss should pull away kind of in big strands. This is why it is very nice to use long fiber sphagnum moss, because it stays in one kind of piece that you can just pull away gently from the roots without doing too much damage. So sorry, this takes a moment, but it's actually pretty quick. And so here's the root ball, completely devoid of all of the moss. And we'll set that back on the bench here. And then we'll do the same thing with this Virtue's Victory. And just kind of break it up. Some of the outside roots will be broken. They're pretty brittle because they've been growing along the outside of the pot, drying out a lot between waterings because they aren't encased in protective soil. It's fine to lose some roots when you do these repots. It's totally normal. There will be some roots left in the bucket of water when you're done. That's nothing to be alarmed about. Your plant will respond to being repotted by putting a lot of energy into making new roots. You can pull the rest of this away quickly. And here we are with a completely clean root ball. You can see it's much more substantial than the Dream of Triumph that we just did. And then we'll get it on the bench and start working on it over there. So we'll start with this Dream of Triumph. The first thing I'll do is remove this dead plant material, because it's just a good thing to do to get as much clean material around the stem as possible. Take a bit of this sterilized and soaked long fiber sphagnum moss. Wrap it around the root ball so you have good contact with the roots. Add some more around the outside here. There you've got a nice bit. And then just sink that into your rose pot. Perfect fit. And here's a nicely transplanted Tuna Victory. We like to keep them in these pots for about 2 years, depending on how fast the plant is growing. And now let's do the same thing with this Nepenthes ventricosa. Obviously, we're going to need a lot more soil here, and there's more roots to work with. When you have a developed root system that clearly splays out, I like to take a nice ball of moss and put it in between these roots so that they're not all squished together in the middle of the pot, and then wrap that up from the outside with a lot more moss. Substantially more moss used in a 5-inch pot. Whoops, I got stuck here. All right, so this is ready to go in the pot. Same thing, just gently sink it in. It's all nicely wrapped up. You don't want it to be too tight. If the moss really has to be squeezed in there, it probably won't drain enough. So it should just sink down very easily. And there's a little bit of room for slipping your fingers down the side, kind of fluff it up a little bit. With big pots, sometimes drainage is an issue. And so you just want to be mindful that it's not really compacted in there. It's a little bit loose on the side here, so we'll stuff some in there. And next we'll show you how to get these hydrated. The next thing you need to do is really soak the plants very well. The danger here is cavitation, which is where if there's air around the roots and you don't really know about it, the soil hasn't settled in, it can kind of silently and invisibly choke out the plant and not allow it to get any water. So you really want to give it a couple good soaks. This will also let you know whether the soil drains quickly enough. So you should water from overhead until it really fills up, and that water should drain away very quickly like you see here. See how it's there, and then it just immediately starts draining out the bottom. If the water pools and just sits there, you've probably overpacked the moss, and you're going to want to pull it back out and fluff it back up and take a little bit out. So it needs to be draining well. Otherwise, the water's just going to sit there. So these are 2 now completely repotted plants that are ready to go. You're going to want to water these pretty aggressively at first to make sure the roots have plenty of water, but then you can just get them on the normal schedule after a week or 2 with the rest of your plants, and they should fill in and be ready for a couple years. This is Josh from Predatory Plants. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope this is helpful, and please let us know if there's anything else you'd like us to do in future videos, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel below. Thanks a lot.